I want to talk about the first fight in fasting. The number one thing that we need to be concerned about as we move in to a fast and to a lifestyle of fasting. I'm going to be pulling from what Jesus says in Matthew 6 in the Sermon on the Mount. In Matthew 6, he gives a warning to not do our works of righteousness or these spiritual disciplines before the eyes of men, but to be really intentional about doing them before the eyes of God. And so in this, he hits the expression of our giving and our prayer, but he focuses in on fasting. I want to pick up there in Matthew 6, beginning in verse 16. It says, "And when you fast, do not look gloomy like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces, and their fasting may be seen, so that may be seen by others. They want others to be aware that they're fasting, so that they may be seen by others. Jesus says, truly I say to you, they have received their reward." Oh, Lord, keep us from this. Verse 17, he goes on, he says, "But when you fast, when we engage in this fast, this is the fight of fasting. When we fast, we are to cloak what it looks like we're actually doing. We are to not set ourselves forth as fasting to be seen by others." Now, I don't believe what Jesus is saying here is that if anyone discovers that you're on a fast, you lose any impact or reward of that. We know that's evidence that the Lord encourages us, both Old and New Testament, to call corporate fasts. But there is something that we have to understand here. There is a difference between fasting to be seen as fasting and fasting in order to be seen. There's a difference in how we carry our hearts in this. And so we have to wrestle with this. So Jesus says, when you fast, anoint your head, wash up, look good. Like don't let others perceive that you're fasting. Labor to fast in the secret, to get your reward from the Father. And he says, when you do this, it says, your Father who sees in secret will reward you. There is a reward in fasting. And this is what I believe is the first fight of a fast and the fasted lifestyle. And it's the fight to where we let our fast be seen. All of us, even the best of us, have an inward tendency to want to be discovered on a fast. We want to be seen as radical. We want to be seen as going hard, wholehearted after God. And what Jesus warns us of in this, he goes, don't mistake that the point of fasting, the reward of fasting is not doing the fast. That's not the reward of fasting. There is a far greater reward than being seen by the eyes of another or getting a name of being a, quote, faster or a radical pursuer of God's heart expressed through fasting. That's not the aim. That's not the goal. The goal is not to be known as a person that fasts, that successfully completes rigorous expressions of spiritual devotion. That's not the reward. The reward is the Father seeing. And in this is the true test. And this is where we will constantly be realigned on a fast, and which is the gift of fasting, that realignment. Because this is the test. In a fast, you're hurting, you're confused, you're mentally foggy, you're in elements of pain, and no one sees. And you are taking that hidden place and you are bringing it before the Father. And the question is this: is it enough for you and for me that He sees? Is it enough? And is it enough that He sees and that He will reward you. Because if in voluntary fasting it is enough, the gift of fasting is that in other parts of our lives, in pain, in confusion, when nobody else sees, we will have a greater potential of knowing that the Father is seen and that I will receive a reward, even if nobody else sees. And that is this gift of fasting that's given to us here. That it's this constant invitation to realign. Is it enough for us that the Father sees and that He will reward? And if we do that labor in our soul, there is much fruit in the place of fasting. So Lord, I ask, help us in this fight to do it before your eyes, to not be content to have a name that we are fasters or be seen as those who are wholehearted, but to actually be content to fast and to do our expressions of righteousness before your eyes and your eyes alone, knowing that you will not withhold any good thing from those who seek you. Amen.